Welcome to ODT Impact 365, a program of One Day at a Time Ministries, Inc., created by Shamma Lorredan.
All right, so you're getting ready for that Kentucky driver's permit test. That's great. We've got a whole bunch of practice tests from YouTube, some driving school outlines, and even some information on community driving programs here in Lexington.
Oh.
We're going to really dig into all of this and help you figure out what you absolutely need to know.
Yeah, get you ready for that test.
Exactly. Give you a nice little boost of confidence.
It's more than just memorizing that whole driver's manual.
Right.
You want to break it down to those core concepts. It'll really make a difference on test day and,
out on the road when you're actually driving.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's start with those YouTube practice tests. I know you've probably already seen a few of those, but one thing that stood out to me was just how much they emphasize right-of-way in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah, it's a really crucial concept.
Yeah.
Especially at those uncontrolled intersections, where there aren't any signs or signals.
Right.
The golden rule, the vehicle on the right has the right of way.
Okay, so if I'm approaching an intersection and another car's coming from my right, they have the right of way.
They get to go first, yep.
Got it.
That's right.
What happens if multiple cars arrive at the same time?
That's when it gets a little trickier.
Right.
But the principle remains the same.
Yeah.
If you're unsure, just always err on the side of caution.
Okay.
And yield to the car on your right. Absolutely.
Now, something else that really jumped out at me from those practice tests was just how much they talk about pedestrian safety.
Yes.
It seems like a really big deal in Kentucky.
It really is, and for good reason.
Yeah.
Kentucky law is very clear on that.
Okay.
Pedestrians always have the right of way, regardless of whether they're in a marked crosswalk or not.
Okay.
So even if there's no signal, if there's a pedestrian waiting to cross, you have to stop.
So it's not just about stopping at crosswalks. It's about being aware of pedestrians.
It's about creating a culture of safety and respect.
Yeah.
For everyone who's sharing the road.
Yeah.
And speaking of yielding school buses are another area
where
Kentucky has some specific rules.
Right. I remember that 25-foot stopping distance.
Yes.
Can you remind me when I need to stop for a school bus, especially on a divided highway?
Yes. So if you're on a road without a median separating those lanes of traffic, you must stop for a school bus that has its red lights flashing and its stop arm extended. Even if you're traveling in the opposite direction. However, if there is a median, you only need to stop if you're traveling in the same direction as the bus.
So divided highway, median, you're good to go.
You're good.
But otherwise...
Slam on the brakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about passing other vehicles? When is it allowed and when is it a big no-no?
That solid yellow line is going to be your signal. If you see a solid yellow line on your side of the road, it means passing is strictly prohibited. Broken yellow lines, on the other hand, indicate that you can pass.
Yeah.
But only when it's safe to do so.
So never cross that solid yellow line to pass.
Exactly.
All right, now let's talk about parking.
Sure.
I know the practice tests covered uphill and downhill parking rules.
Definitely, you'll need to know how to park on hills.
Right.
Both with and without a curb.
Right.
So let's start with uphill parking with a curb. In this situation, you want to turn your wheels away from the curb.
So if you're on the right side of the road and facing uphill, your wheels should be pointing to the left.
Yes.
Almost like I'm about to make a left turn.
Exactly. That way, if your car starts to roll, it'll roll into the curb, not out into traffic.
Got it.
Now, downhill parking with a curb is the opposite. You turn your wheels towards the curb.
So if I'm parked downhill on the right side of the road, my wheels should be turned to the right.
Yeah.
I'm about to make a right turn.
You got it. And of course, never park in a handicapped spot unless you have a permit.
Of course not.
Yeah, those are reserved for folks who really need them.
Speaking of things that can trip you up, I learned something new from those practice tests.
Yeah.
Did you know you can turn left on red from a one-way street onto another one-way street?
It's true.
I had no idea.
It's one of those little known rules that can really be handy.
Yeah.
In certain situations.
Yeah.
But remember, only if there's no sign prohibiting it. Always be on the lookout for signs.
Right.
Because they overrule any general traffic laws.
Good reminder. So we've covered some key rules from those practice tests.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious, what did those driving school curriculum outlines reveal about the actual process of learning to drive?
Oh, yeah, those outlines.
Yeah.
Well, they go beyond just knowing the rules. They really focus on building practical skills and confidence behind the wheel.
That's it for today. You've been listening to ODT Impact 365, where we grow stronger, one day at a time. See you next time.